His wife cheated with the bodyguard. One phone call from him made the entire company collapse. He trusted her. She trusted someone else, not a stranger, his own employee. A man he paid, protected, promoted. And while they whispered behind his back, he said nothing. Until one quiet morning, he picked up the phone, dialed a single number, and within 72 hours, the company she sacrificed him for no longer existed. If real stories of betrayal, justice, and emotional revenge move, you don't forget to subscribe to Real Father Stories, where silence is never weakness. The footage that broke him. Logan Banks wasn't just a husband. He was the founder of Banks Aerotech, a rising tech defense contractor based out of Arlington, Virginia. He was methodical, loyal, unshakably calm, the kind of man who built his empire by never overreacting. But even calm men crack. And for Logan, it happened on a Tuesday, at exactly 4:42 a.m. in his study, alone. The security feed had glitched the night before. He'd asked the IT guy to pull backup logs, just a routine review until it wasn't. Because there, in high-resolution clarity, was his wife Madison walking barefoot into their living room, laughing. And following her was Derek Hale, the man Logan had hired, a former Marine turned private protection officer, someone Logan had personally vouched for after a background flag, someone who had once called him sir with clenched respect. Logan watched in frozen silence as Derek reached for her. Not hesitantly, not with guilt, with confidence. They kissed, then vanished into the guest wing. The same guest wing Logan built for his aging father. He didn't yell. He didn't slam anything. He just sat back, pressed pause, rewound, watched again and again. So that's what loyalty looks like, he whispered to himself. Not with anger, with observation, like a man cataloging what remained after a fire. The next morning, Madison smiled over coffee. "You're up early." Logan nodded. "Couldn't sleep. Thinking about that Pentagon deal." "Something like that," he replied and kissed her cheek. That afternoon, while she was at Pilates and Derek was on shift at HQ, Logan sat at his desk, picked up a burner phone he hadn't touched in 8 years, dialed one number, the file he never forgot 8 years earlier. Logan stood in front of a federal clearance panel, reviewing a stack of applicants for a new high-risk logistics team. One folder was marked flagged in red. Derek Hale, former Marine Recon, flawless combat record, 1 failed polygraph, 1 sealed investigation, 1 question about loyalty that never got answered. Most panelists dismissed him, but Logan remembered what it felt like to be flagged once and still fight to prove your worth. So, against everyone's judgment, he hired Derek, gave him a shot, even brought him home once when Derek had no family to visit on holidays. They watched playoff games together. Madison made Derek her signature chili. The 3 of them laughed once like siblings, or so Logan thought. That burner phone. It was given to Logan by his first mentor, David Langley, the man who helped Logan survive his first corporate takedown. "Only use this when the hit isn't personal, it's strategic," David once said. "Because if they hit you personally, they already think you're weak. That's when they're most vulnerable." Logan had never used it, until now. Back to present day, the man who answered the call wasn't just a hacker, he wasn't just a fixer. He was the ghost in the machine, a silent equity holder in 4 defense conglomerates, and someone who owed Logan a favor, a big one. "Want me to ruin Derek?" he asked. "No," Logan said calmly. "I want you to ruin the reason he betrayed me." "You mean your wife?" "I mean the version of me they thought wouldn't find out." Within hours, assets were traced, emails duplicated, footsteps mapped. Derek's crypto accounts were linked to someone else's wallet, and Madison's name showed up in a shell company under Calder and Nash Investments, one of Banks Aerotech's loudest rivals. That's when Logan smiled for the first time in 36 hours. This wasn't just betrayal, he murmured. It was strategy. The conspiracy she never thought he'd uncover. The betrayal wasn't about lust. It was about leverage. Buried beneath Madison's shell company, Logan's team uncovered a confidential contract, a non-compete clause she never signed, an NDA she violated, and worst of all, bank wires from Calder and Nash funneled through crypto to a Cayman Islands account. And attached, Derek Hale's name as security consultant, which meant the affair was just the cover. The real sin corporate espionage. Logan sat in his office that night alone. He didn't cry. He didn't drink. He wrote a 5-line resignation letter, not his own Derek's, forged perfectly, time-stamped, and scheduled to send to every major defense board contact precisely 8:00 a.m. Thursday, along with a second email, an anonymous tip to the U.S. Contract Integrity Bureau. He added one more detail. Check the shell structure of Calder and Nash. You'll find someone's wife in bed with more than just a bodyguard. The next morning, Madison kissed him on the cheek. Leaving early, she asked, yawning. Logan smiled. Big day. Anything I should know about? Not yet. But by tonight? The meeting that turned into a funeral that morning, the boardroom at Banks Aerotech HQ, was packed. Tension buzzed under polished shoes and $5,000 watches. Madison walked in first crisp white blouse, navy pencil skirt, flawless makeup. Derek followed, dressed in black, standing 2 paces behind her like a loyal soldier. They were here to present a strategic merger opportunity with Calder and Nash. It was bold, audacious, a move that only worked if Logan didn't show up. But then he did. Logan walked in calm as moonlight, in a charcoal suit he hadn't worn since his father's funeral. He took his seat at the head of the table, didn't speak, just opened a laptop. Before we begin, he said quietly, I'd like to share something I came across. He hit play on the screen footage from his own living room. Madison, Derek, kissing, laughing. The board gasped. Madison stood. This is... Logan, what are you? But he raised one hand. Wait. The video cut. And another clip began. Wire transfer confirmed Cayman shell account set. A man's voice. Derek's. Then Madison's. Once we're inside the merger, he'll be out. Quietly. Silence. Dead silence. Logan closed the laptop. In the last 48 hours, Calder and Nash lost 3 federal contracts and is now under investigation for corporate espionage. He turned to Madison. And you, Mrs. Banks, are now locked out of every account you ever touched. The prenup triggered. To Derek, your resignation effective this morning, and the Department of Defense has been forwarded your crypto trails. Then to the room. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is no longer about a merger. It's a funeral, collapse consequences, and a comeback. The fallout came fast. By Monday morning, Madison's accounts were frozen. Her personal assistant resigned. Her name trended on Twitter under Trust No Trophy Wife. And Derek, he was arrested leaving a luxury condo attempting to board a private jet to Antigua. He looked straight into the camera lens and said, I did what she told me to. Ask her. But no one asked. Because by then, Madison was already facing indictment. Meanwhile, Logan vanished. Not from the country, from the spotlight. For 3 weeks, the press searched for him. Paparazzi staked out his old estate. Blogs speculated rehab revenge relocation. But then, he appeared on a TED stage. Black turtleneck, gray slacks, no wedding ring. The title of his talk, The difference between power and control. He told the story of trust, of betrayal, of building something so big you forget to check who's guarding the gate. I loved a woman who saw me as a resource. I trusted a man who saw me as an obstacle. But I underestimated the one thing they could never see clearly: my patience. He paused. Because real power doesn't scream. It waits. It calculates. And when it moves, it ends the entire game. When the crowd stood, it wasn't just applause. It was redemption. The letter he never meant to share. After the TED Talk went viral, Logan's inbox overflowed. From tech CEOs, startup founders, even interns who said, "You made silence feel strong again." But Logan didn't return to Banks Aerotech. He let it fold. Let the board fight over scraps. Let the brand die with the betrayal. Instead, he launched something else. A private foundation called Sentinel Mission, to protect and rebuild entrepreneurs betrayed by people they trusted most: spouses, partners, siblings, even co-founders. Within weeks, Sentinel helped 4 founders reclaim stolen IP, assisted 12 whistleblowers, and raised $60 million in blind backing. One night, a young journalist finally asked, "Mr. Banks, what made you fight back instead of disappear?" He didn't answer immediately. He reached into his wallet, pulled out a folded sheet of old paper. "I wrote this at 5:03 a.m. the night I found out." He read aloud, "Dear Logan, you are not what they did to you. You are what you choose to do next. You do not need revenge. You need clarity. And when you find it, move quietly. Power needs no announcement, just impact." He looked up. "I left this in my drawer. I never meant to read it in public, but maybe someone out there needs to write themselves one tonight." The conversation with no apology. It was almost a year to the day. Logan sat alone at a quiet coffee shop in Alexandria. No security, no assistant, just a black notebook and a lukewarm cappuccino. She walked in cautiously. Madison. No heels, no diamond ring, just tired eyes and a faded trench coat that once belonged to his mother. "Thank you for coming," she said. He nodded once, no smile. "I didn't think you'd agree to see me." "I didn't come for closure," he replied. "I came for clarity, one last time." She sat. "I didn't mean to destroy everything. I didn't feel seen anymore." He blinked. "So you partnered with my enemy?" "No. I mean, yes. But it started with loneliness and ended with treason." Madison looked down. "I've lost everything, Logan." He stirred his coffee. "You lost everything you were pretending to value. I only lost time." She swallowed hard. "If there's anything—" "There isn't," he interrupted, calm but final. "But there's one thing you should remember." She met his eyes. "Loyalty isn't proven when things are easy. It's tested when betrayal is more convenient." He stood. "And you didn't fail because you were weak. You failed because you thought I'd never find out." He left. She didn't follow. And for the first time, she didn't cry. Because deep down she knew he hadn't come to punish her, but to bury the last words they'd ever speak. The final word from a father. It was a quiet Sunday. Logan stood at the memorial wall of his new foundation, Sentinel, reading the names of the first 100 people it had helped. One name made him pause. Elias Hale. He recognized the last name instantly. "That your way of showing mercy?" A deep voice asked behind him. Logan turned. An older black man, cane in hand, dressed in clean but worn clothes. "You must be Derek's father." The man nodded. "He's in federal prison now. I don't make excuses for him, but I raised him better than that." Logan stayed silent. "I heard what you did. You could have ruined him worse. But you just let the system do its job and started this foundation instead." Logan shrugged. "Anger's loud. Legacy's quiet." The man smiled. You ever wonder what your son would have done if the roles were reversed? Logan looked back at the wall. That's why I'm building something now, so the next son doesn't have to pick between survival and betrayal. Elias put a hand on Logan's shoulder. You didn't just win. You taught people how to lose the right way. Logan nodded quietly. Let them write headlines. I'm writing the footnotes. As the camera would fade, we'd see Logan walking alone. Not broken, not bitter, just clear. Because when trust is shattered, you can either destroy or rebuild something no one can touch again. And he chose to rebuild, silently, powerfully, permanently. The end.